Okay, on 65, we were trying to decide which equation here would fit it, and the graph given, and there's no numbers on it, so you can't really tell a whole lot. It looks like that, if you go out further, it looks like this one, this vertex on this point, it's kind of closer to the x-axis and the y-axis, so that's really all we've got to go on. But one thing we notice about all the equations is they have 2's and 1's in them, okay? So let's think about the parent function here. The parent function of an absolute value graph would look something like this, okay? It's a v, and we definitely have a v, so we know we're going to have an absolute value in it. But the other thing that I notice is that it's not centered at the origin like the black parent function, the absolute value of x is. It has been scooted right some and then up some. It looks like it has scooted right more than it's scooted up. And that's really all we can tell. But we can definitely see it is scooted right and up, okay? So that means I'm going to have a horizontal translation, and since it went right, it'll look like x minus some number, because remember, the formula is x minus some number, and if I'm plugging a positive number in that little absolute value bracket, it's going to look like it's negative, and so it looks the opposite of what we expect. So it looks like the number that goes here should be bigger than the one that goes down here on the end. And on the end, we do know it went up, so I know it's going to be plus a number. Now, if I look at my choices, there's only, let's see, here's the ones that I can see that at least have the signs in the right place. B says absolute value of x minus 1 plus 2. C is f of x equal absolute value x minus 2 plus 1. Just out of these two, I'm leaning toward this C because I can tell that the graph was scooted right more than it was scooted up if I'm assuming that they numbered the same on the x and the y axis, that they're using the same scale. So I'm kind of leaning toward this one, especially when you look in the book. I could have drawn mine better. I put little marks on it and didn't mean to, but it looks like it might be scooted over maybe 2 and 1 or 1.5 or something. So that's why I'm thinking that C is going to be the answer. If I look at D, we'll just kind of look at the other answers. I'm going to go ahead and mark out B because I'm pretty sure that's not it. D says f of x equal 2 plus the absolute value of x minus 2, and that would look a whole more, it'd be more readable to my brain if I rearranged this and wrote the absolute value like that. That's a possibility if you think they're scooted equally. I just feel like it's scooted more to the right than it is up, so I'm going to discount D. And then E, you don't have all that stuff inside. The E is not right. E's got a bunch of stuff inside the absolute value brackets on page 50. That's not right. If you're going to scoot it up and right, you're going to have something outside the absolute value brackets, or there's no vertical translation. And then F is not right because if you rewrote F looks like this. F of x equal 1 minus x minus 2. Well, that doesn't look so great to my brain, so let's say I go, that's negative x minus 2, and that was a positive 1, so we'll put a plus 1. Well, it looks good, except that this negative out front meant that it would have been flipped down here somewhere, and we don't see that happening, so we know it's not F. So the answer is C there. 67 is the same sort of thing. We see we have a graph. We're supposed to be picking the equation out for it. We see it kind of comes through the origin there, which I kind of missed, and it comes up. This is a square graph, even though my drawing is pretty incompetent here. So let's think about what we know. The parent function would be have a vertex at 0, 0, and it would come up like this. Now, we don't have the parent function drawn on the page, so it's hard to know if there's any kind of shrink or stretch. So we're going to assume there's not, and if you look at the equations, none of them have anything out in front of the x, so they're not even asking us about that here. Doesn't it look like this thing got scooted over to the right and then down? So it's over right. That's a horizontal translation. And that means that inside inside where the x is, there's going to be a minus there, because if it goes right, you'd think it'd be a plus, but the subtraction sign always makes it the opposite of what it looked. And then it went down some. So we know it's going to be a minus something on the end. Now, if you look at this, it looks like, I mean, I don't want to take anything out and measure it, but it almost looks to me like it got moved down more than it did right. So it looks like the vertical translation should be a bigger number. VT should be bigger than the HT, just given what I can just tell by looking at the book, okay? So I'm looking for something that has, it's not upside down, so there's not a negative out front, so we'll mark out some of our choices. So it looks like it should look like this. And I want the bigger number on the end where the vertical translation is. So there's a number that's going to go there, and there's a number that's going to go there, and this should be the larger number. And I see that all my choices have 4s and 2s on them. So if I'm guessing at what the equation is without even looking at the ones in the book, just noticing that there are 2s and there are 4s, I will throw out anything that has a subtraction sign. Here, let me put it and then get rid of it. If I see that there's a subtraction sign out in front of that parentheses with the x, or if they put a negative out front, I'm not going to pick that one. So that's going to throw out E and F, because they both have a subtraction sign in front of the x's. The larger number is going to be on the end, so since there's 4s and 2s, I think there's going to be a 4 here and a 2 here. And if you look, this matches up with C. And so the answer there is C, because it went to the right, so there should be this subtraction sign here with this positive 2, and then down 4. C is your answer there.